Lesson 17 covers techniques in effective public speaking. You may think that effective speakers are born that way. You'd be wrong. You'd be surprised to know that public speaking is a skill that can be learned. Public speaking occurs when you give a speech before a live audience. It differs from other types of speaking such as speeches, which may be recorded. It's also different from online presentations, which are created and uploaded to the internet. Most effective public speakers have worked hard to master effective speaking skills and public speaking techniques. They spent hours practicing, working with coach, or taking a speech course. Today we will be discussing some techniques in effective public speaking. You can be a better and more effective speaker by using the right techniques and practicing your public speaking skills. Here are some techniques to follow. Number 1. Care about your topic. Passion goes a long way when it comes to being an effective speaker. The audience can tell if you're apathetic. If you don't care, they won't care either. Even worse, you can be regarded as a flake. On the other hand, if you sincerely care about your topic, the audience will pick up on that too. They'll view you as being more authentic and credible. They'll listen more closely and try to understand at least why your subject is so important to you. And they're more likely to somehow ignore any minor mistakes you might make. Number 2. Remember your speaking goal. We've all probably listened to at least one speaker who seemed to go on and on forever about nothing in particular. One reason why this happens is the speech isn't focused on a particular goal. The speaker is trying to cover too much and ends up boring his listeners. Early in the process of developing your speech, identify the reason why you are speaking. Make it a point to stick to this goal during your presentation. Don't get sidetracked or off topic. Number 3. Tell a story. People love a good story. So if you want to be a more effective speaker, tell a story. Storytelling is a great way to make your material more engaging and to relate to your audience. Make sure your story is relevant. Number 4. Practice your speech. One of the most important public speaking techniques is often one of the most overlooked, and that is practice. If you expect that you'll be an effective speaker without practicing your speech, you'd be wrong. One of the quickest ways to avoid public speaking failure is to try and give a speech you don't really know and practice. The old saying, practice makes perfect, really is true when it comes to developing effective speaking skills. The more you practice your speech, the more familiar it will be to you and the more comfortable you will be delivering it. Plus, practicing your speech is the only way to discover how long the speech will take and where you need to pause. Number 5. Relax. It's normal to be nervous when speaking in public. The numbers vary, but a study from the National Center for Biotechnology Information estimates that as many as 77% of us have a fear of public speaking. It's so common there's an actual technical term for the fear of public speaking: glossophobia. I'm not telling you this to make you more anxious, but rather to let you know that having some anxiety before giving a speech is perfectly normal. Still, you should try to relax if you can. You'll be more comfortable and the audience will relate to you better. If there's something that normally calms you down in stressful situations, try using it right before you're due to speak. Popular calming techniques include meditation, exercise, positive affirmations, aromatherapy, or music. Number 6. don't worry about mistakes. One of the reasons why many of us fear public speaking is we're worried that we'll make a mistake and embarrass ourselves in front of everyone. If this is your fear, let it go. Most audiences will understand if you make a mistake, and if it's a small mistake, the audience may not even notice it. Of course, practice can dramatically reduce the likelihood of you making a mistake. The more you practice, the better you'll know your speech, and mistakes will be less likely. So, what should you do if you happen to make a mistake? If it's a minor mistake, don't stop or apologize for your mistake, as that only calls attention to it. Just continue on. If you make a big mistake, try using humor to diffuse the situation and then continue your speech. Your listeners will be impressed with how graceful you handled things. Number 7. Pace yourself. When it comes to public speaking, a common newbie error is to speak too quickly. This is usually caused by a combination of nerves and not realizing how fast you're actually speaking. But talking too fast makes it harder for your listeners to understand what you're saying. Effective public speakers know to pace themselves. They'll speak at a natural pace and work short, natural pauses into their speech. It also helps if you remember to breathe during your speech. A surprising number of people hold their breath without realizing it when they are nervous. Of course, I'm not one of them. But holding your breath will only increase your anxiety. So, remember to breathe deeply during the breaks in your speech. If your speech is a long one, taking a sip of water during a break can also help. Number 8. Dress comfortably but professionally. What's the right outfit to wear if you want to be an effective public speaker? Well, there's no specific answer. How you dress depends on who your listeners will be, but the general principle is that you want to dress professionally to make a good impression. Make sure to observe good grooming and hygiene rules too. Many experts feel you should dress according to how your audience dresses. If the audience is dressed formally, you don't want to show up in shorts and t-shirt. Likewise, if the audience is wearing shorts and a t-shirt, you could always put on something that matches the crowd. Number 9. Avoid awkward fillers. We all slip filler words into our conversation without realizing it. But overuse of these words during a professional speech can make you sound less than confident. If you can, break the habit of using these words to become a better public speaker. Practice can help you eliminate these words from your speech patterns, but you may be so used to using them that it's hard to notice when you're doing it. This is where a speech coach, teacher, or friend would come in handy. They could listen for these words and help you break the habit of using them. And lastly, for number 10, use gestures, but don't overdo. Normal movement during a speech is a sign of an effective public speaker. Hand gestures and even taking a few steps across the stage can be a good public speaking techniques as long as they're natural, purposeful, and not overdone. Movement can make you appear more comfortable and help your audience relate to you. You've probably seen a stiff speaker who delivers a speech while standing stock still, hands hanging limply by his side. Which would you rather listen to? That stiff speaker or a speaker who punctuates his speech from time to time with meaningful hand gestures? Let us review the graduation speech of Shona Barber entitled, "Keeping Up is the Birth of Regret." The reality of life is that we hear more no's than we hear yeses. In the summer of 2009, I was 19 years old working a summer position at Target between my freshman and sophomore year. At graduate school, I was working in the women's clothing department and I noticed a lady staring at me from across the aisle. I figured she probably had a few screws loose, so I attempted to ignore her. She eventually managed to make her way a little bit closer and closer to me, where I was working, until she eventually walks up to me and says, "Hello." I said the famous Target quote, which is, "Hi, may I help you find something?" She didn't ask me, "Were you born in this country?" And I was immediately offended, and I said, "Yeah, I was born in this country." And then she says, "Do you have any kids?" I said, "No, I don't have any kids." She didn't ask me if I was married, and I said, "No ma'am, I am not married." She said, "How old are you?" I said, 19. "May I help you find something?" She then said, "You are the most beautiful girl I have seen," and I say, "Oh, thank you." I didn't wear that much makeup, but I did the best I could, but thank you. And then she says, "I think you could be the next Miss USA." And I stared at her in pure disgust and said, "Pageants? You telling me pageants like Sandra Bullock, Miss Congeniality pageants? You think I should compete in pageants?" She then asked me to meet her at Starbucks the very next day before my next shift at Target, and she just wanted to do a little bit of explaining when it comes to what pageant is, and apparently I was a pretty open-minded 19 years old because I actually agreed to meet her the next day. The next day, she bought a stack of pageant books and proceeded to convince me to enter into a state pageant 3 months later. For those who do not know, when it comes to Miss USA, you have to win your state first, okay? So 3 months later, I compete in my first pageant and I lose. I go back the second year, compete in the state pageant, I lose. Go back the third year, compete in the state pageant, and lose. Go back the fourth year, compete in the same pageant, and lose. I go back the fifth year all, compete in the state pageant, and lose. But guess what? I go back the sixth year. Guess what happens? I lose. I called her on the phone and said, "You told me I could be the next Miss USA." And she said, "Miss Yona, keep working. Don't quit. Keep going back." And in June 2015, she passes away from leukemia. 6 months later, in December 2015, I won Miss District of Columbia, USA, and 6 months after that, in June 2016, I became the first soldier to win Miss USA. Giving up is the birth of regrets. Giving up is something I did a lot while growing up, and I don't think I really challenged myself to stick anything through until I joined the track team in middle school. I remember having to ask my mom after tryouts and making it to the team for my very first pair of track shoes. At that time, she walks into our house and she has a bag that has a nice Nike check signed on it. So I get excited because I wasn't getting new shoes very often. I get the shoe box out of the bag and I notice it says size 9 on it. Mind you, in the 7th grade, I was a size 5. I opened the box and I slide my foot into the shoe and I look at my mother and said, "These shoes are too big." She said, "I know. I did that on purpose." I was like, "Why would you buy shoes that are too big on purpose, Mom?" And she says, "I know that you're going to grow into them." Coach has us lined up at the starting line and he wants us to run a lap around the track. As we go to take off, I immediately fall to the ground. Twist my ankle because the shoes are entirely too big. I couldn't run at the speed that I wanted to because I didn't fit the shoes I was wearing at the time. Now, many of us have goals we're trying to achieve, but the person we are right now is not the person that we need to be when we cross the finish line to our dreams. So, we must walk and place ourselves on this journey to our goals because we haven't grown enough in ourselves to fit the shoes that we need to achieve our aspirations. At times, our purpose drops in our lap as if the heavens threw it by accident. After you leave this building, do not fear failure, but please be terrified of regret, as giving up is the birth of regret. After you walk out this door, you will receive a $100 shot slammed in your face. You will have 100 moments that will be filled with someone telling you no or telling you thank you for your application, but we regret to inform you that we've chosen a different candidate for this job. You will sit in a 100 different interviews where you will not get the job. You can ask anyone, friend, family. Please tell me no. Telling me no is like adding fuel to a fire that is now set ablaze because of your single no. I love additional reason to work hard. Please give me a reason. So today, I challenge you to fight, to work, to not stop here, to believe so heavily in your aspirations that you will not fear the word no, but instead, you will choose to welcome it. Thank you. What was the video all about? The video is about a girl who never quit about the trials and problems she experienced. She used those experiences to become successful in her chosen path and career. What were the trials she encountered in the past based from the video? First, joining a pageant so many times, considering her looks until she wants it. Second, joining in a track and field team wherein she fell on her first run. What were the techniques used by the speaker as she delivered her speech? First, she knew very well the topic she was talking. Second, she used her experiences as examples. Then, she's very relaxed in delivering her speech. And lastly, she knows how to use gestures. Let's have some more exercise. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Number 1. The quickest way to establish a communicative bond with a group of listeners is usually to: Letter A. Relate a personal anecdote. Letter B. Introduce a visual aid. And letter C. Establish an eye contact. The correct answer is letter C. Establish an eye contact. Number 2. When delivering a speech, which of the following means of support is most likely to require the use of visual aids? Letter A. Statistics. Letter B. Testimony. And letter C. Hypothetical examples. The correct answer is letter A. Statistics. Number 3. A speaker's credibility is most clearly determined by the audience's perception of: Letter A. Cleanliness and neatness. Letter B. Posture and stance. And letter C. Vocal pitch and volume. The correct answer is letter B. Posture and stance. Number 4. Which of the following words is most concrete? Letter A. Dwelling. Letter B. Residence. And letter C. Cottage. The correct answer is letter C. Cottage. And number 5. A speaker who uses deliberately extravagant exaggeration in a presentation is using the device of: letter A. Hyperbole. Letter B. Distortion. And letter C. Parallelism. The correct answer is letter A. Hyperbole. To wrap it up, we should always remember that public speaking is a skill that can be learned. We should also remember the different techniques in effective public speaking, which are as follows. First, care about your topic. Remember your speaking goal. Tell a story. Practice your speech. Relax. Don't worry about mistakes. Pace yourself. And the last techniques includes Dress comfortably but professionally. Avoid awkward fillers. Use gestures but don't overdo. In view of our lesson, let me share with you the words of Albert Einstein. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. We're done now with our lesson for today. Please do your homeschool work. Worksheet number 17, activity number 3, English 10, first quarter. Goodbye and see you on the next lesson.
Do you want to know?